Hi, and welcome to my channel. We're here to talk about retirement. First, let me say I'm not a financial advisor or a certified planner, but I've been studying retirement for well over 30 years. It's kind of been a hobby of mine. I know, sounds like a strange hobby, but what I've learned from people who have already retired, who've already gone through all this, I've learned so much that I was able to retire early and be able to take that knowledge and help others with it. So, I want to sit here and give you some advice on certain subjects about retirement. Let's get to today's question. Today's question is: am I ready to retire? And how do I know if I'm ready to retire? This is a great subject. I get asked all the time from friends and family: am I ready to retire, or I'm able to retire? And they're always come back with that same question: I have so much money, or I've done so much. Everyone always thinks it's about the money, which is an important part. But there's so much more that has to go into that answer for you just to say, yes, you're ready if you have $1 million or $1.5 million. There's so much more that needs to go into it. So when it comes to retirement, it's all about planning. Now, I know I hear this all the time. Most people come back and tell me, oh my God, I've been planning for years. I've been putting my money in my 401k, and my financial advisor has done this and done that. But it's such a small part of the process to are you ready for retirement? So, to make it easier, I kind of came up with a 5 point checklist, and we're going to go over those 5 points today and see if you're on track, if you can retire. Step number one: plan to retire to something, not from something. This is number one, as I feel for so many people, it's the old straw that breaks the camel's back. Being frustrated at work or getting away from a difficult boss are not good reasons to retire. Though many people use it, and many people have done it. Work changes daily, bosses do come and go, but both are normal short term issues. So the reason to retire is you should have a burning desire to do something new. Pursue interests, goals, lifestyle choices. I always say go for that dream that you've had. New pursuits should be clear and defined and laid out so you have a positive path forward and a good reason to get up every day. Because I'll tell you what, if you don't, retirement becomes very boring. You lose a lot of mental capacity. You start losing who you are. Have a dream of what retirement's going to be. Ask yourself, what do you want? What do you want to do? Especially when you got to look at this as your health is probably in its best shape it's going to be when you go into retirement. Now, I do wish for you a very long life, but we already know we get older, we start slowing down. So you want to sit down and make sure that you do the things you want to do, that your health is in great shape. If you want to travel, you want to play golf, you want to hike, you want to do all these different things, write them down. These are all your goals that we can build on, and we can build a master plan for your retirement future. Number two, how much debt do you have? We're going to talk a little bit of money now. Debt is the number one money issue. And I always have to ask, what and who do you owe? Being saddled with this debt and all the added expenses that go along with it can bring some very, very stressful times in your retirement life. It's bad enough when you're working every day and you have these debts. It's a lot of stress. And you don't want to bring that stress into your retirement lifestyle, because this is when you want to have fun and relax. Now, I will say this: it's not the end of the line if you're bringing debt into retirement, because most people will tell me the debt they're bringing is house, car. When I freak out and when I say, whoa, 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 we got to stop here for a second, is when I hear people walk in and say, I got credit card debt, I got personal loan debt, I got student loan debt, I got college for my kids I'm still paying for. That's when I say, time out. We need to relook at your time that you're not prepared for retirement. Because the issue is the more debt you have, the more income you got to have to cover it. Okay. And you're moving in a point in life that your income is probably going to be capped at a certain amount, and that the rest of your time and your debt is getting up closer to it to makes things uncomfortable. So I always tell people at this point is let's figure out a plan how to pay off your non-house or car debts. This might delay your retirement 1 to 2 years, but I'm telling you, it's going to be the best 1 to 2 years because you're going to be so laser focused on getting these debts taken care of, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to do everything you can to continue to get these debts down so you can get to the fun time of life. Now, the house and the car issue. If you have a mortgage, as we've always said, this is normally over 30 years. And if you work on the payment into your budget, I can see many people still able to retire, but they're not going to be able to retire at the style or at the level that they're hoping for. So I always look and say, hey, can you pay off the house? And let's look at that picture of paying that off. And now, what does it mean for the financial money that you have for retirement? But if you can't pay that off, we need to have a plan to build it into our monthly budget. The car, I'm going to tell you this, we all need a car. We're all going to need a car basically into retirement. But the question I'm going to ask you is, do you need two? Do you need a his and hers? Do you need three? Do you need his, hers, and that sports car that you've always had? And then I turn and say, do you really need that brand new Cadillac? Or are you comfortable with a good used Ford? So many people retire with two cars to find out that they no longer drive as much. I'll tell you point blank, I drive less than 5,000 miles a year now since I've been into retirement. So I don't need as much of that car anymore. And the other thing I found out is once I found that I drive 5,000, my insurance went down. When I went to a couple of year old car, my cost of insurance dramatically dropped because of the discounts that they give you. So I want to tell you the car is one of these things that we need to work into our budget. And again, it's always great to have that paid off car. So sometimes a little sacrifice in stepping down in a car may be helping you down the road to increase for a happier life. Number three, healthcare cost. Some are lucky to have healthcare coverage in retirement all the way up until Medicare. Now, many of us don't. So I always have to ask, how are you going to cover your medical expenses from now until 65 when Medicare kicks in? Because we're all going to get sick. We're all going to have those issues. We're all going to have those little bumps and bruises that we got to deal with. So many people give me that deer in the headlight look and say, I don't know. And when retirement planning, when you come to me and say, I don't know, it's not a good plan. You got to work on that one. So it's always the red light stops right there. Let's figure this out. I always suggest basically sitting down and figuring out what your cost is going to be. There are a ton of websites out there that you can find healthcare insurance for budgeting purposes and find out what it's going to cost you before you get ready for retirement. So you, again, know versus I don't know. What we found is the government sponsored healthcare programs that we could find healthcare for ourselves that was very affordable because it was based on our income. Now it's based on our income when we're in retirement, which means our income's probably going to be a little bit lower than it is today. So that we could keep it into our budget and find out, does this fit into our financial budget and our financial plan when we're going into retirement? Number four, your retirement income and expenses. Yes, this is where we're going to talk about your money again. This one's the toughest to go through, uh, and no one likes to do it. I'll be honest with you. No one likes to do it at all. But you need to take the time to do it and do it right, because this is the biggie one that tells us if you're really ready to go financially. Now, a lot of people say, I've done a lot of work with my 401k and I know I have plenty of money. But there's a lot of little pieces that we're going to show you what this is, how this all connects together. The first one's going to be your income. Where are you going to get the money to live on when you're in retirement? It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to have a financial advisor sheet showing you where everything's coming and the percentages that you're making and all that stuff. But what you need to know, you need to list all your income streams. Are you going to have a pension? Are you going to have dividend incomes from your 401k? Are you going to have it from other sources? Rental income, any business income, Social Security. Are you going to take it now or are you going to take it later? How's that going to all fit into your plan? Anywhere you're planning money from that you're going to live on, you need to have it listed on there so we can make a good, solid adjustment to say we have so much money to work with in retirement as income. Next, you need to list out your living expenses. I know everyone hates this next word, and that's called the budget. But it's really what you need to do. You need to know how much you're paying for food, rent or house payment, taxes, car payment, car maintenance, gas, so on. Your entertainment, your lights, your light bill, your gas bill. What do you spend on the haircuts? Are you eating out? What do you spend on eating out? And this is just really what you spend today of what the costs are going to be. Because if we can live today off of the retirement income that you're forecasting, we're going to be on a good path moving forward. So what you really just need to do is list those things out and make sure you have it. And then I give you this simple formula. You take your income minus your cost of living. And if those two give you a positive answer, thumbs up, we're going to move to step number 5. But if your income is here and your expenses are here, we have the old Houston, we have a problem. We might have to delay 1 to 2 years again to get our cost of living in line with our retirement income. Now, I've always made a suggestion to people to do this same thing of live on your retirement income for 1 year to see if you can live off of that income. And if you can, man, you pre-tested yourself. This is a way of doing it on paper and then actually implementing it in real life. Number 5, what do you want retirement to be? This one's going to be the most fun out of all the 5 steps. Remember when I told you to write down what your dreams are in retirement, what your 1, 3, and 5-year plans would be? This is where the rubber hits the road. And what I mean by that is this. You need to list out all those things that you want to do. Now we got to come up with some kind of an idea of what that cost is going to be. And this is where I always say this becomes fun. I mean, we did this with me and my wife did this, and we actually had fun doing this. When you sit down, if you want to say travel or you want to play golf, calculate what the cost of all that's going to be. Build a trip. What's the cost? Airfare, where are you going to stay, the hotel, you're going to need rental car. Have fun and make up a dream of this trip that you want to do. Maybe you want to go to Europe. Are you willing to take first class or are you going to settle for the coach? Are you going to need fancy new clothes or, you're going to take what you got? Are you going to do a cruise when you're over in Europe? You're going to stay for 14 days or just going to be a 7-day trip. Have fun, plan this out. The golf side of it, I know this goes to a lot of the guys. Golf, yep, you're going to pay your greens fees. But ask yourself, how many beers are you going to drink during a round of golf? Are you going to have lunch at the turn? Do you need those fancy new clubs? How many balls do you lose in a normal round of golf? Add these things into it. And the reason for us doing this is you're planning out your 1, 3, and 5 year goals of the things that you want to do in retirement. And those have a cost to them. And what we call that is the retirement cost of living. Okay. So you're going to take the simple formula of your income plus your cost of living plus your cost of retirement. And basically, if you have that positive gap, you're pretty much ready for retirement. But if you're not anywhere down these 5 steps, you need to stop and reanalyze and relook at it and say, we need to fix these. We need to fix these things and maybe have to wait 1 to 2 years before we retire. But when you do get those fixed, you're going to be ready to go. So you're ready for retirement. You've answered the 5 questions. You've passed the test. Everything looks good. You're ready to sit on the beach, have your cocktail. I'm excited for you. I hope this helped you out, made you a little more comfortable about retirement. If any of this information was good and solid for you, give me a thumbs up. We really can use the support and help. I hope you subscribe to see the other videos that we have and don't miss anything new that we bring up and put out there. We're always here for you. I thank you for watching the video. I'm Doug, the retirement guy. We'll see you on the next video.